You wake up, it's cold, like really cold. No ceiling above you, just a dark sky full of stars you've never seen that clearly because there's zero light pollution. You reach for your phone. Nothing. You look around, dense forest, weird sounds, and oh great, something big just moved in the bushes. Congratulations, you've just woken up in the Stone Age, roughly 50,000 years ago. No GPS, no grocery stores, no antibiotics, no Reddit to ask for help. How long would you actually survive? Archaeologists, anthropologists, and survival researchers have spent decades studying exactly how early humans lived, what they ate, and, here's the fun part, how spectacularly easy it was to die back then. We're talking peer-reviewed studies, fossil records, and thousands of excavated campsites that paint a brutally detailed picture of daily life. By the end of this video, you'll know what it would actually feel like to wake up 50,000 years in the past, what skills would save your life, what modern habits would get you killed, and one surprising thing our ancient ancestors were genuinely better at than we are today. It's not what you think. Hang tight. The very first hour after waking up in the Stone Age would be a disaster for the average modern human. And I say that with love. Your body is used to filtered water, pre-sliced food, temperature-controlled rooms, and zero predators at 7 a.m. Your nervous system has basically been on vacation your entire life. Throw all of that into a world where every resource requires effort, skill, or luck, and your first instinct would be to panic. Here's the thing. Panic isn't entirely wrong. It floods your muscles with blood and sharpens your brain. The problem is that after a few minutes of uncontrolled panic, you crash, and exhausted people in the wild make fatal mistakes. Studies of real survival situations show that 95% of people who make it out alive do one specific thing. They stop, breathe, and assess before acting. It's called the STOP method. Stop, think, observe, plan. The people who start running immediately, they usually run the wrong way, burn the energy they desperately need, and make everything worse. So the most useful skill from our modern world in the Stone Age would be meditation. Deep breaths, calm mind, genuinely. And speaking of things that keep you alive, there's one specific thing Stone Age humans always carried that no modern survivalist talks about. I'll get to it before the end. Don't go anywhere. If you're enjoying this kind of content, real science meets wild what-if scenarios, hit subscribe. This channel exists for people who like their education with a side of existential dread. You can live 3 weeks without food, 3 days without water. And in the Stone Age, clean water was not a given. It was a mission. Streams and rivers existed, obviously, but so did bacteria, parasites, and microscopic horrors that modern water treatment quietly protects you from every single day. Before you say, "I'd just boil it," do you know how to make fire without a lighter or matches? The bow drill method, the classic rub 2 sticks together technique, has a success rate of about 10 to 15% for first-timers. Even with good dry wood and the right technique, most people trying it for the first time produce nothing but blisters and quiet despair. Stone Age humans learned this as children. They had years of practice before they were trusted with fire alone. Your realistic water plan in the first 24 hours. Find the fastest moving water you can. Rivers with strong currents tend to have fewer pathogens than still pools. And hope for the best. Not exactly reassuring. Here's something wild though. Your instinctive preference for moving water over a stagnant pond? That might be ancient evolution talking. Your ancestors knew. Your body still remembers. Water gets you through day 3. But food is a whole different beast, and the answer to what you'd eat would genuinely surprise you. Here's what people imagine. Big hairy humans chucking spears at woolly mammoths, eating like kings around a fire. Cool image. Also, largely wrong. Prehistoric humans were primarily foragers. Roots, berries, nuts, insects, grubs, bird eggs, small animals. That was the real diet. Big game hunting happened, but it was risky, energy expensive, and not something you'd attempt alone on day 1. Here's the math. A single hunting expedition burns 3,000 to 4,000 calories. If you come back empty-handed, you're now weaker than when you started. Meanwhile, a single acre of forest can contain hundreds of edible plant species, and insects, before you make a face, are protein powerhouses. Grasshoppers have about 20 grams of protein per 100 grams. Beetles, ants, termites, all solid. Would you eat a grasshopper to survive? Before you say no, imagine being hungry enough that the grasshopper starts looking like a snack. It takes about 48 hours of real hunger for most people's absolutely not to transform into give me the bug. The real problem isn't your willingness, it's knowledge. Most people today can't reliably identify 10 edible wild plants in their local environment. Stone Age children could identify hundreds. That gap is what would actually starve you, not a shortage of food. The forest is full of calories. The question is whether you can read the menu. What Stone Age survival skill do you think you'd actually be decent at? Drop it in the comments. The answers reveal a lot about what people think survival actually requires. Here's where modern pop culture has completely failed you. The lone wolf hero, the guy who walks into the wilderness alone and masters nature through grit and a tactical knife, is fiction. Beautiful fiction, but fiction. Early humans survived because they were aggressively social. Bands of 20 to 50 people. They shared food, skills, tools, childcare, warmth, and information. Research on modern hunter-gatherer societies, our best living model for prehistoric life, consistently shows that individual skill matters far less than group cooperation. A group of 30 people contains specialists, someone great at fire, someone who knows the best plant spots, a strong hunter, a skilled toolmaker. When one person is sick, others compensate. The redundancy is the survival strategy. Now here's the twist. If you stumbled upon an actual band of Homo sapiens from 50,000 years ago, joining them would be hard. You don't speak the language, you have no demonstrated skills, you'd be another mouth to feed with no apparent usefulness. You'd need to prove your value fast. Which brings me to that item I mentioned earlier, the thing Stone Age humans carried that nobody talks about. It wasn't a knife, it wasn't fire, it was knowledge encoded in stories. Research on hunter-gatherer societies shows that the people with the highest social status and the best survival outcomes weren't the strongest or the fastest. They were the best storytellers. Because stories were how critical survival information was transmitted, where the clean water is, which plants kill you, how to handle a wounded animal. The person who could turn survival knowledge into a memorable story was the most valuable person in the group. So your biggest asset in the Stone Age might not be a physical skill at all. It might be your ability to communicate complex information in ways people remember, which, honestly, is still pretty valuable today. Let's say you beat the odds. You find water, figure out food, build shelter, and join a group. What does your body actually do over the first month? It adapts faster than you'd expect and suffers more than you'd like. The first week is brutal. You'd probably manage 800 to 1,500 calories per day instead of your usual 2,000 plus. Your body burns fat for fuel, your mental clarity drops before it sharpens. Your feet get destroyed walking without proper shoes, your hands blister then callous. By week 3, something shifts. Your cardiovascular efficiency improves dramatically. Researchers studying people who adopt ancestral movement patterns, long walks, occasional sprinting, irregular heavy lifting, show massive metabolic improvements in under a month. Your sleep gets better, ironically, because you're exhausted in a way modern humans almost never are. By day 30, if you survived, you'd physically be in the best shape of your life, leaner, stronger, metabolically healthier. Exactly what someone who trains hard and eats whole foods looks like, because that's precisely what you'd be doing, just without the gym membership. Psychologically, though, it's harder. The absence of screens, music, and constant stimulation feels like withdrawal at first, because it is withdrawal. Your brain is wired for thousands of microstimulations per hour. Remove them, and the first week is loud silence. By week 2, something remarkable happens. People who do extended off-grid immersions consistently report sharper attention, deeper presence, heightened senses. Colors seem brighter. Sounds more distinct. Time slows down. Our ancestors weren't just surviving in the Stone Age. In many ways, they were more cognitively present than we are. If this makes you curious about what else we've lost by modernizing our lives, I have a video that goes deeper into exactly that. How hunter-gatherer psychology still runs your modern brain whether you like it or not. It's linked right here. So here's what we know. Waking up in the Stone Age would be simultaneously the hardest and most clarifying experience a modern human could have. Your biggest threats wouldn't be predators. They'd be dehydration, exposure, and your own helplessness in a world that demands competence. But your biggest asset? Your brain, your social intelligence, and 50,000 years of evolution that already equipped you for this. You've just buried those instincts under Netflix and delivery apps. Here's what I want you to sit with. The skills required to thrive in the Stone Age, patience, endurance, storytelling, community, reading the natural world, are the exact skills that modern life systematically trains out of us. What does that say about us? Maybe the Stone Age isn't as far away as we think. Maybe it's just waiting underneath. Next video. What if a Stone Age human woke up here in 2026? What would they notice first? What would break their brain?